Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X research and professional physicist. And today I'd like to bring to you another one of my articles. This one's entitled Planet X Debris Suspended in the Earth's Atmosphere. Now, Planet X dust entering the Earth's atmosphere is part of the debris field which forms around Planet X system stellar cores and which was once a part of the outer layers of the object. The debris pieces are likely to vary in size from large irregular shaped pieces to dust particles. Since the stellar core is low in gravitational energy, the debris pieces will also be low in gravitational energy and most likely even more depleted in energy than the core, as the core is also the region of the object where the gravitational energy is greatest. And here you see what a planetary object, a celestial object, would look like initially before it ran out of energy and died. And it will have a core that generates the energy. It's very dense and it's positively charged. And then it has the outer layers, which are solid layers. And then it has an atmosphere. And when it dies, it turns into this. We then have the stellar core, the core of the object, which can no longer generate energy. It's still the densest part. It will still contain some gravitational energy, but it will no longer be able to generate any more. And because of that, its gravitational field declined to the point that it can no longer hold on to its outer layers of material. And so they break up and become a debris field around the stellar core. And for more details on this, you may look at article 455 entitled Dying Stars Lose Their Planets and Become Stellar Cores or Comets. Now, these objects, planetary object, celestial object that is a planetary object, for example, the Earth, would therefore have the core. It then has a liquid layer, which is actually a positive ion plasma. And this is because the interior, the solid part of the object, from the core to the edge of the object, which is solid, is positively charged. The core is the most positively charged part of the object. And the atmosphere, which is gaseous, will be negatively charged. And for more details, you may look at article 406 entitled Planet X, Earth CMEs, and Star Internal Structure. So a star will be very similar to a planet. It will not, however, have a solid outer layer. So the positive plasma layer will go all the way to the surface. So this will go all the way to the surface with a star. And it will also be able to place its atmosphere in plasma arc mode, making it very hot and resulting in huge amounts of light emission from the atmosphere or corona. And this diagram illustrates how the gravitational energy changes across a planet, for example, on the Earth. So we have the gravitational energies high at the center, and so it decreases as you go up in altitude. So at the top of the atmosphere, you have the lowest gravitational energy. And this is also where you have very low density particles on the planet that have much lower gravitational energy than the dense matter that occurs in the inside of the planet. So gravitational energy increases with depth and thus decreases with altitude. Matter with less gravitational energy than typical solid matter at the surface, which will have gravitational potential V surface, will remain suspended in the atmosphere. Thus, Planet X dust, which will be low in gravitational energy, will have a lower gravitational energy than matter belonging to the Earth's surface, and thus on entering the Earth's atmosphere will remain suspended in the atmosphere. as illustrated here. So an object, a piece of matter that is dense, that belongs inside the body of one of the Planet X system stellar cores that became depleted in energy and died, but because the planet died, it will be low in gravitational energy. So it will not be attracted to a point on the surface of the Earth. It will instead find its position suspended in the atmosphere because its gravitational potential is so low that it is about the same as matter that belongs to the Earth that is found in the atmosphere. So it will remain suspended in the atmosphere until it has gained enough gravitational energy to join other matter or reach the surface. So any Planet X debris entering the Earth's atmosphere, even though it will most likely be made of rock or rock dust, which belongs to the solid body of a planet, will remain suspended in the Earth's atmosphere because its gravitational energy is much lower than typical matter at the Earth's surface. This debris will remain suspended in the atmosphere until it has absorbed enough gravitational energy to reach the surface of the planet. It can absorb energy by directly absorbing light which falls upon it. If it is positively charged, it will attract water molecules and a cloud will form around it. It can then absorb energy through the cloud. The cloud will absorb light and thus look dark gray or colored, in other words pink, red, etc. And the debris will then absorb energy from the cloud or through the cloud. You may look at article 507, the previous article entitled Planet X Captured Atmospheres and Cloud on Earth, where I explain that mechanism. So matter on the surface of the Earth is neutral. It's positively charged if it's further down, occurs at a greater depth, and it will be the most positively charged right at the center, whilst the atmosphere also will be neutral at the surface, but it will be more and more negatively charged as we move up in altitude. They will have extra electrons. But this object can be either positively charged or negatively charged depending where it originates from on the original planet. If it originated on the surface, if it was a piece of matter that belonged to the surface of the planet, it will most likely be neutral. But if it was part of the inside of the planet, so further down, it will be positively charged. And so if it's positively charged, it will attract water molecules and thus will be able to absorb energy through that cloud. Now, since Planet X system stellar cores have debris fields with objects of many sizes in them, it is possible that larger pieces enter the atmosphere from time to time, in which case there will be pieces of rock hovering in the Earth's atmosphere. Since these larger pieces will take much longer to absorb energy than small dust pieces, they are likely to remain suspended in the Earth's atmosphere for a long time. If they are neutral, i.e. belong to the surface of the original planet, then they will not attract water molecules and no cloud will form around them. And you may look at article 507 again where I explain that. And here's a rock that has been discovered in Saudi Arabia, and as you can see, it's floating. It's not touching the ground. And this means that this rock originated on a Planet X system planet, and it came in as the debris field for one of these Planet X system stellar cores, and it must have entered the atmosphere, and it has up to now remains suspended in the Earth's atmosphere. And as you can see, there's no cloud formation around it. This means that it's neutral, and it must have belonged on the surface, very close to the surface of a planetary object belonging to the Planet X system. So in conclusion, Planet X system debris is entering the Earth's atmosphere and remaining suspended in the atmosphere until it has absorbed enough gravitational energy to reach the surface. Positively charged debris pieces will attract water molecules and cloud will form around them, through which they will then absorb energy. It is also possible that large pieces of debris are entering the atmosphere and hovering in the atmosphere. Well, we see there seems to be evidence of that here. And these are the references. This is Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X physicist. Thank you for watching.